All right, looks like we're jumping back in. Just for true transparency's sake, yeah, my Cowboys just lost today to the Saints. Yeah, they got it pretty much handed it to them. Right now, I'm watching the NFL replay. Got it sitting over here on my phone. In the background, so I can take a look and peek at it. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to watch the game. I had to listen to it. And just from listening to it, I was just like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. And of course, it's kind of now for me, it's one of these things, and this has been um my issue pretty much with the Cowboys the whole time I've been a fan of theirs. Okay, my issue is very few teams that I can recall of their teams, right? Years that I can recall that they had the kind of toughness you know, like the 2005 Ravens, right? Or the 85 Bears. That kind of team that, when they lined up, they were going to smack you in the face. Now, in the 90s, they came close. They came close, but they had some games where they just rolled over. And, I mean, any team can roll over. But I always just found over the years, there were always these, and it was multiple games. And it would be games where they just get punched in the mouth, okay? Like people, like in the news conference with the coach after the game, one of the guys brought up the Green Bay game. Because that's fresh on everybody's mind when the last time they got punched in the mouth. But that wasn't the only time they got punched in the mouth. And last year alone, first time was against Arizona. Arizona just came in and and punched them right in the mouth. And then San Francisco. So it's like, okay, San Francisco, okay, right? Because it's San Francisco. But it was Arizona that punched them in the mouth, right? The first time. And they famously have these kind of games. And then the next game that keeps popping in my head after that is that keeps saying is Buffalo. And I'm one of those people I said before the Buffalo game, I said there's no reason why I think that the Cowboys stand a chance against Buffalo, right? Ever since Josh Allen's rookie season, Buffalo has handed it to the Cowboys. So I don't understand. Buffalo in Josh Allen's rookie season went into Texas Stadium on Thanksgiving Day and they beat the piss out of them. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't, and then so it was one of those days for the boys, right? One of those days where a team comes in and they just smack you, and then there's no toughness, right? And I think way back, I can't remember which season it was, but when they went up and played the Colts, and then the Colts just smacked them in the mouth. And it was like, yeah, you're not, you're not Super Bowl ready. And to me, teams that are Super Bowl ready, and even though I say that, I remember a season when they got pounded by the 49ers. This is way back, way back. The 49ers came in and just basically boat raced them. And I remember going back and then having to go back to San Francisco in the playoffs. And then again, the years start to get, but if I'm not mistaken, San Francisco boat raced them early part of the season. And then later in the season, they had to go back to San Francisco to play in the playoffs. It was Joe Montana. Okay, so that just shows you how long ago it was. And it did take the Dwight Clark catch for San Francisco to actually pull it out. So yes, they turned it around. But did they go to the Super Bowl? No. Right? They turned around and they were competitive the second matchup. And it just to me seems like when you have a game like that, I think it's a strong indicator as to whether you have what it takes to make it all the way. I'm not saying that you won't make it to the playoffs. I'm not saying that you might not win, that you won't win a playoff game. What I'm saying is, if you can't bring it every week, you may not be able to bring it in the most important weeks. And so that to me was so that to me is a huge thing, right? And then so am I saying the ceiling's going to fall out, falling, the sky is falling, anything like that? Oh, heck no. Do I think they stand a chance next week against the Ravens? Oh, heck no. But I didn't think that from, in the beginning. So, I didn't think they stood a chance against the Ravens anyway, right? Um, but I thought they stood a better chance until I saw what I saw today. And I didn't see it until I heard what I heard today and what I'm looking at off in the corner here. The reason being is, and then, interestingly enough, and I was happy to see Cleveland do all right today, right? I believe I'm not sure. I have to look back. They were winning the last time I saw their score. So the thing was, I was happy to see them do all right because I didn't want the narrative that the Cowboys beat Cleveland because Cleveland sucks and everything like that. And I'm like, well, I don't think. Don't get me wrong. Deshaun Watson has issues. He has a lot of issues, personally and professionally. Okay, one, he hasn't played consistent football, right? And in not playing consistent football, I don't expect him to be his Houston self. And anybody expecting that is just out of their freaking mind. It just doesn't happen like that. You know what I mean? It really is, it's very rare, okay? Not common, rare, that, long stretches without actually playing football, you don't come back the same person you were when you left. And it's, sometimes on rare occasions, sometimes they come back a little bit better. But then, are they a little bit better, or is it because their opponents didn't, underestimated them because they thought they were going to get worse? So I don't know about that, but it's going to take a while before Deshaun Watson is back to his old self, if he ever makes it back. And that's the thing right there. If he ever makes it back to his old self. But I don't think you should belittle the fact that he is a starting quarterback in the NFL, right? And possibly he's still the best option for Cleveland at this moment. But there's other issues with Cleveland, right? Their offensive line, all kinds of things going on with them there. So I don't want to just say that, but this offensive line the Cowboys faced was basically the same offensive line that Cleveland had last year when they made it to the playoffs. So it's not like all of a sudden they were missing key components, that they didn't have last year when they made the playoff run. They did have those key components. So it wasn't like this depleted offensive line like a lot of people want to make that narrative. Well, of course, and then for them to do as well as they're doing right now, or for them to do as well as they did today, to be competitive, to come out and show, hey, we're not as awful as people are slating us to be. The Cowboys had our number. And that's really what it came down to is that the Cowboys just had their number. And unfortunately, the Saints definitely had the Cowboys number today. I'm like, I was thinking of, I was, I was getting flashbacks to Mike Nolan's defense. You know what I mean? Like nobody, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, are you kidding me? You know what I'm saying? So you want to say, hey, Zim's defense did great last week, but this week they couldn't, they couldn't even stop a running nose. I mean, literally anything the Saints wanted to do, and then I think the Saints took their foot off the pedal. But when you see Cooper Rush and a whole bunch of backups in the game, you're like, either the Cowboys are that far ahead, or the worst has happened. Well, the worst didn't happen. Just that no one showed up for the Cowboys to do anything. To oh God, I can't get past this guy. So yeah, so it was. It's just a sad thing. And one of the things I get tired of is the cockiness and the arrogance of not the commentators, but I listen to a lot of podcasts for the Cowboys, and everybody seems to think they like, well, we know what's best. We've been doing this. And it's like, if you knew what was best, you would know all the things you've seen over the last 20 plus years. You don't know what's best. Just watch. Just look at all the trends and look at everything that's happened over the last 20 years. You're just doing the same things over and over again. You say, it's like, look, we're watching the same train wreck we see every single year. Every year, you get boat raced by one or two teams during the season. It's just at some point you're like, if you're a really good team and you're gonna be, and you want us to believe that you're poised to win the Super Bowl, get rid of the boat races. You know what I'm saying? There should. I'm not saying you should ever lose a game, but it should be competitive every single time you step on the field. When it's not, that tells me you're out there going through the motions, playing with absolutely no heart, and you can't figure it out. You can't figure out what you need to do right here in this moment to do better. And then when it just continues to happen, then that tells me your coaching hasn't figured it out, can't figure it out either. Can't figure out what to do, what changes to make, because no matter what I do, it still works for the other team. Again, like no matter what the Saints wanted to do, when Kamara scores 4 touchdowns, somebody isn't doing their job. No. I rephrase that. A lot of somebodies aren't doing their job. When one player scores 4 touchdowns, and it's like one of those things where you're like, what the F, man? What are you guys doing? And then for the fact that it's like, did you guys watch any of the Saints film? The one thing that was happening was Kamara is declining. You made him look like he did 5 years ago. So it's like, no. Kamara looked like he did 5 years ago when he was like, the number 2 or 3 fantasy player in the league. Right? And it's like, dude, he scored 4 touchdowns. He ran for, if I'm not mistaken, he ran for over 100 yards. It's hard to tell when you don't see the graphics and everything, but I could have sworn I heard them say that. He was responsible. He had a 54-yard screen pass. A 50. When was the last time he had a screen pass over 50 yards? Yet let him have it. And if I'm not mistaken, that was kind of a screen pass up the middle, right? Again, like I said, I haven't seen it. But from what if I'm not mistaken, the way I heard it was one of those middle screens. So it wasn't even on it. I don't know, right? But he ran 3 touchdowns, 3. So I'm sitting there trying to figure out what exactly were you guys doing today? So yeah, it was rough to listen to, that's for certain. But yeah. So and then for me, that's just like me with these guys, right? It's like God. It's like when I'm doing this, and then I don't care that we won. I'm looking at all this crappy stuff that happens. That's like when I'm playing this game. It's like, dude, it's like if you're just worried about what the outcome is, then that shows me you don't care about your trade, right? You're not a perfectionist. The there's you take pride in the job that you do and how well you do it. And I did enough to accomplish what I needed to do. That's the lazy man approach, in my opinion. I just did enough, right? I got it done. It's like, yeah, but how well did you get it done? How much pride did you take in getting it done, right? If you half-assed it, then okay, that just tells me what kind of person you are. So, and don't get me wrong, because like there's a lot of things that I do that could be better. Like I am still learning how to do this, and trust me, I sit back and I listen and I go, God dang it, if I could figure out how to, and seriously, this is how bad it is. If I could figure out how to, um, if I could figure out how to set everything up so that I can go back. Because, some people will record live, and then what I mean by record live is they record as they play the game. And then other will play the game, record it, right? And then come back and then voice over, right? I have not figured that out because there are a ton of videos that get put out here. And one of the things that I noticed is that, and I just noticed it right now, the mic, you have a mic, you have a capture card, you have a mic that's on the capture card, you have a mic that's with your computer, and if you don't shut down the mic on your computer, if you're connected through the capture card, then it causes an echo. And there's so many times out there that I've seen, and it's like, okay, if I could figure out how to, you know, and then so I'm still working on that, and I beg everyone's forgiveness on that. And then yeah, and then so that makes it. And to tell you the truth, I come back and I say, well, that makes me a little hypocritical, right? Because I demand perfection, and here I am putting out a crappy product. And then I'm not saying my product, well, I am, but what I'm saying is, I could be doing better. And then so I'm striving and keep working to get better. So have I put out a video that I'm 100% like, wow, that was the best video I've done or could have done? Not yet. Not yet. I've put out couple hundred videos now, and I am nowhere near uh, the best video I could have done, or, in my opinion, a really good video yet. So that just lets you know, right? But I won't stop, right? I won't stop trying. I won't stop trying to get better. And it is kind of one of those things, right? Where you're like, it's like you have to keep working and working and working at it, and you say, okay, here's what we got, and it just kills me. But yeah, so I'm annoyed with the Cowboys. Yes, I'm annoyed with them, right? As we all should be when our team loses, especially when technically they were 6 point, 7 point favorites. 6.5 point favorites they were going into the game. And that was as of Friday. It could have changed since then. And they completely pooped the bed. Yeah, 100%. Now, is it just an anomaly? I say no. And then this is why I say no. They'll get mad, they'll play, right? And they'll do, they'll as a matter of fact, nothing has happened to make me think they won't win 12 games this year, right? But that'll be on the high end. I think they still will win 10 games. I think they will make the playoffs. And reason being is because they will win at least four of the six division games they have to play, which means they only have to win six out of division games to get to 10 wins. And so that means that they have to win six of the 11, six of the 10 out of division game. Oh, no, 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 no. Six of the 11 out of division games. And then, no, I'm sorry. So I said they will, yeah, six of the 11 out of division games and four of their division games. And that will give them a 10-7 record. And that will allow them a very strong chance at making the playoffs. Problem is, and then the problem is that means they only have to win. They have to go 6-5 out of division. So we'll see a lot of back and forth, right? But then they could potentially go 8-3, and or they can go 6-0 in division, right? You never know. And then that's the struggle because I think if they go 6-5 and then 6-0 in division, and then and again, like I said, 6-5 outside division, they're not going to go. They're not going to win the Super Bowl. That's just because the competition in their division wasn't strong enough to actually beat them. Um, but that right there is an indicator they're not a strong team. And I literally last week thought their defense looked way better last week than it did last year. But the concern is it takes their offense 3, 4 games into the season before they get rolling. But my concern this time is they don't have anybody in the backfield. I like Zeke. Zeke's great. You know what I mean? But Dowdle's not the answer. He is not going to be the answer. And Deuce, I hate to say it, but I just don't think the line is strong enough or the offensive creativity is good enough to get him going, to allow him to shine. And then he's only going to shine in certain situations. He's not your every down back. So who is your every down back? I love Zeke, but he's like running in mud right now. He doesn't have any burst anymore. So that's what we're looking at. So all that to welcome you guys in to this week's game against the Panthers. Now, I think the Panthers actually were doing all right this week too. To go show. I'm not sure that this is getting captured. The audio. Right now, I don't see, unless I talk, I don't see anything going through on the audio. So it looks like it's like absolutely dead silent going across there. And that's not okay. So I don't think any of the commentary is coming through right now. And I apologize for that. Because honestly, I don't know how to make it come through. Normally it does. Normally the game video on the capture card comes through so that it's not just the mic, it's a combination of both. But when I hear the game, I don't see anything going on there. So I'll have to figure that out at some point. All right. So I went through that whole diatribe of all that stuff only to come back and give you a crappy product. God dang it. What a day. All right, next quarter. All right. 7-0. All right. We'll take that. 21 7 at the half. All right. We'll take it. Honestly, I and looking at it, I can see there was a lot of plays left on the field. So we will take a look at the stats and see exactly what got left behind. Now, is it possible that Trey Lance could win the MVP? I don't think so. I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think he's going to do enough in the final 3 weeks for that to be the case. But just that he's up there is crazy. All right, wait, wrong one. We will get into there, but we want to look at the stats real quick here. All right, I'm not mad at this, right? You know, 257 and 122, 21 yards rushing, 55. 9 of 13 for 101 passing for Carolina, and then 20 of 22 with 3 touchdowns and 202 yards for the Cowboys. So that tells me, yeah, things are going pretty smoothly. Tolbert, Tolbert with 3 touchdown passes. Oh my goodness, he's pulling a Kamara today. Holy cow! And then look, namesake Jonathan Brooks, 2-yard run. Cannot Can't be mad at that, really, tell you the truth. Am I okay? I was gonna say, what screen am I in? It's like I was gonna swap something out, and then all of a sudden I end up in the screen, and I'm like, wait a minute, what was I doing? Let's see. We want to swap Nealon, Parsons, and then Parsons, Nealon, and yes. In doing that, I just realized we did not look at all the stats. We looked at that, and then holy cow, nobody's. Why is Sanders in there running the ball at all? He's not our third down back. Is he? He's our number 2 back. Maybe Dixon was hurt for a minute. It's the only thing I can think of, but I just can't think of any reason why he should be in there running the ball. 6, 5, and 4 catches. All right. There's been some sacks. 2 by Leafau. Clowney has half a sack. All right, so Mozzie and Jawan Briggs with the TFLs, and then yeah, okay, so 2 and 2, so 2 sacks for Carolina, 2 sacks for the Cowboys, all both by Leafau. All right, wait, God dang it. I am so sorry, guys. Let's get over here and do this real quick. Uh, so, did we signed him already, though? So I don't think there's any. Does it? At this point, is he taking the rest of the year? Oh my God. When you have to search this far down, that means there's. I was expecting donuts. There's one tackle. One tackle. But yeah, you go over there look dejected because you're sucking right now. All right. All right, first and 10. We're going to see if we can. God dang, I don't. Okay, I accidentally. I don't know what that was because I didn't mean to hit the button, but somehow my thumb went over the B button, just kind of grazed it a little bit, and that was enough. The sensitivity there is just a little too high, or I'm old and my hand is just twitching. And then, all right, third and we'd never get the. So yeah, that was a terrible, terrible first play there. All right, all right. So what we're looking at now, first and 10. Oh my God, I hate that. Honestly, hate that. I don't care for. I don't even. I don't want him to break out of the pack. Right? I'll tell you why I don't want that. Because that just puts him in a worse position than he is at that moment. Because I've stopped running with the ball. It should just go down. Because what just happened there? He got pushed back 5 yards from where he was, and so it ends up being a big, huge loss on the 2 yard loss on the play instead of a 3 yard gain. And they don't do forward momentum because technically he broke out of the pack. You know what I mean? He broke the tackle. So it's kind of like the play's still going. And it's like, no, it ain't because you're going to hit him back where he gets back on his where he regains his composure. Oh my God. Now, here's the here maybe I shouldn't be doing this today after the Cowboys lost, but I see that, and then here's my issue. I threw the ball when the guy was still a step and a half away. You guys can't tell that, but I can. And I see that, but then when I watch the defense, I've seen them in the grasp of the defender and still get the ball downfield and have probably 50% of the time into the receiver's hands. So it's like I throw the ball a step and a half, right? I don't see, and then I watch the CPU player being contacted before their arm starts to even move and they get the ball down the field. Now, to me, if I was QAing, right? So if I was a tester or, going through this, these are things that I would have called out. And I would have called that out right there too. Like, what the F? But I would have called that out as that doesn't seem right to me. You know what I mean? That doesn't look right to me. And that can be viewed a certain way by the user. Again, it's all about user experience, man. And then um it's funny because I was recording video for a different game and it crashed. Starfield. And it crashed. And so it crashed to my desk, not to my desktop, but it crashed to, the Xbox main page, homepage. And I was like, yeah, you can see what games I have, right? And I was like, you can see that Madden 25 and Madden 24 were both still on my homepage. And I was like, yeah, because I got to be honest with you, 24 was better than 25. And I said I might be in a world of my own with that opinion, but I was like, for me, yeah, 24 is way better. 25 is trying to do some nice things that, yes, if these things were in 24, 24 would be, exponentially better. But even the nice things that 25 is trying to do, they're still weak and they're still not there yet and still need a lot of work. Um but as far as, like I said, but as far as the game itself, the defense being broken, cover three just being a complete shambles, linebackers and this tackling bullcrap with the I'm just gonna come up and I'm gonna run into you and then bounce off of you. That is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And then I am fully willing to go on record and say that to me is the most trifling and dumbest change you've made yet. You know what I mean? It's the most god awful change. And to me, because it's the most frustrating one, right? It's like because I don't see the purpose of that, and I don't know that that's you don't see that in real life. Why would I want to see it in a video game about that's simulating real life? You know what I'm saying? The things that we ask for you to put into the video game is real life stuff. We want to see more of what happens real life wise in the game, not some stupid, unbelievable. Yeah. So this was a day to not actually record this because of the obvious frustrations of, well, the Cowboys outcome. Even though, gotta be honest with you, I was kind of expecting it. I really was. I was like, too many people are way overconfident the Cowboys are gonna boat race the Saints, and the Saints just put up some serious numbers, and they're like, well, yeah, but it's the Panthers, and I'm like, well, you know what? When that comes out of your mouth, instant, instant, you makes you look like you don't know what you're talking about. Every single team in this league, the fact that that got through two defenders there pisses me off. But okay, what the look at Bell now. I will say one of two things. If it didn't get there, that would have been a defensive interference call, right? But we've turned defensive interference all the way off, right? So that the defenders will stay with the guy. The fact that Bell was right there and he had to clip through Bell to go catch that ball tells me there's a lot of work that needs to be done there. I don't know. I don't know how anybody could take a look at that and say, "Yeah, that was okay." You know what I mean? It's like that was intended. That's how we want it to play, right? And then that's why I say it's like to me it's like, yo, who signs off on this stuff, right? And then so here we are. We are first and 10. We're going to see what we can do here. But I bet you what we just saw here will never happen for us against the CPU. Right there. See, the defender was right there, and he's able to jump up and knock the ball down. I'm surprised he didn't intercept it, to tell you the truth. But again, our guy right there, the receiver had to clip through him to get to the ball, and yet our guy made, he just was there. I mean, literally, he was just there, not making a play on the ball or the receiver. So you tell me, where's our awareness, man? Where is it's just so yes. So as I was telling, I said yes. So would I recommend this game to anybody? It's an emphatic no, right? Am I saying that if with work could it get to that point of recommending? Yes, it could. But there's things that need to get fixed. There's obvious things that really need fixing. So, and you know, it's sad. That play is happening at the very same moment that Lamb just took that one catch to the house. Seriously, I just glanced over and there's Lamb running down the sideline, and I'm like, what? Ain't that something? So yeah, the score in the IRL game is 21-12 now, and then yeah, so uh, yeah, there's so many things that need to be fixed here, right? And then one of the things that I mentioned was in this case here was why did we go backwards on some things? I think that's the one thing that we all wonder about is the backward steps. You know, not not like why didn't you add? Well, I mean everybody's going to say why didn't you add this? Why didn't you put this in there? What's taking so long to get this into the game? My first question is when something is finally tweaked and you finally figured it out and you got it to work, why is the next iteration of the game it doesn't work again? That's me. Is like, why did we take a backward step here? What are you doing, you know, to that mechanic that's breaking it? You know what I'm saying? It's like you should be building upon, building upon, building upon that particular mechanic. And then I don't believe you if you're telling me, well, we have to create a brand new version of this game every year, right? Like we have to make it all anew because that's what it seems like. Because for it to be at this point, back beyond where it ended, right? So if you 24, you into 24 ends, right? Is done, and this is where everything is at. So at this point T, and then you come out with 25 and 25 is literally back at point A. You're back at A, and it's like, explain to me how that is even possible. Why are you going backwards? And it's like, okay, did you have to recreate everything? Did you create a new engine? You didn't. So did you have to create new mechanics? Why? If this mechanic works, why did you have to create a new one? And it comes to play in the fact that if you think about it, on the PC version, every year it takes, and I mentioned this, the guys that do the mods on PC, it takes them a while to get in there because they have to dig into the tables. And one of the things they always talk about is because the name changes. There's a lot of significant name changes in the tables, right? And so the values are not the same year to year. And it's not, you would think, well, yeah, there's new players and stuff like that. No, they actually change major things in different tables and naming conventions. And it's like, what? And so now they could be blowing smoke up our butt. I mean, in truth, and saying, well, yeah, we have to go back and suss out all the different name changes and all that kind of stuff, where it's just they, might not have documented or forgot how, in fact, everything was, in there. But more than likely, it's like, well, why? Why is it? Why is every year almost a new complete different version? How much stuff do you need to change? So yeah, it's it's very interesting to me. But the main thing that really, like I said, that I want to know and is like, why do we take a step backwards every year? And then why is the logic always the thing that you're spending a good 3, 4 months of every season trying to figure out? You know what I mean? And then it's fine. If you come back and explain to me, well, this is how, but then again, because I am a programmer, right? I am a coder. I do know. So yes, you can explain to me what it is that's happening, and I will understand. Oh, okay. Okay, I see what you did. All right. Yeah, that makes no, it doesn't make sense, but I see what you did. All right. My bad for doubting you. So, but yeah, so you can tell me why you do this, and then I there's a strong chance I'll understand why. Or I'll understand what you're saying, not agree with why. But because I want to know. I'm like, why does it seem like the logic change? Why does everything have to change year over year for the same engine, right? When you're doing the exact same things every year, and it's always the same thing that's broken. Every year, your defense is broken. Every year, you're trying to figure out, oh, it's 4th and 5. So, yeah, I just want to know. Inquiring minds want to know, why do you always F up our game? And then expect us to pay 60, 70, 130 this time. 100, it was either 129 or 139, for a broken product. But then again, I guess for me, it's, why do I pay it? that's the trick right there. It's like, yo, dude, wait a minute. It's not that they expect you to pay it. The question is, why do you? You know what I mean? It's like, what's wrong with you that you have to have it 3 days early? What's wrong with you? I'm like, okay, well, first of all, first of all, you know, college football's back. So yeah, I gotta get that. But then, hey, I want to be able to. Now, here's the thing I didn't know, and I was a little disappointed when I first found out. I did know one piece, but I didn't know the other. The piece that I did know was there was no draft classes, but I didn't know that immediately, and so I was so disappointed when that came about. And the fact that there's no draft classes is a major L on the part of EA. I blame no one for that but EA. You got the licensing done for college football. You could have done it right at the same time. The what reasoning you had you whatever reason what reasoning you had for not being able to do that, that's on you, man. You dropped the ball on that one. You've That's something that you should have figured out, and you should have been really stressing. It's like, guys, no matter what, when we finish these negotiations, we need to have negotiations for both college football and Madden. We can't we can't sit here and then look these guys in the face and tell them that we effed up getting draft classes, knowing knowing that that is a huge part of the college football thing. Road to glory is cool, but you tell me who in their right mind does not want draft classes. That's a huge L. And you're sitting there like, what were you thinking? I mean, literally, what were you thinking by letting that go, letting that slide? And you're like, no, we'll just explain it to them. They're used to being disappointed. I mean, literally, that's the only thing I can think of is like, yeah, they're used to us disappointing them, so they'll be disappointed on that. Okay, and then we don't know if we can sit back, we can speculate, we can hope, and hopium runs strong sometimes, a little too strong in some situations, but we can sit back and hope that you know they'll sort that out next year. But that just means we don't know the team that's creating this game for us. We haven't spent the last 20 years with Madden. Obviously, if we think, oh yeah, they're going to work their butt off to make sure it's in there next year. No, we hope they will do what it takes to get it in there next year. But there's no guarantee, and then there's really, I gotta be honest with you, there's absolutely no incentive on their part to do so. None, none. Why? Because we're gonna pick up the game, we're gonna buy it, you know. And when I say we, I really do mean we. Just like I keep throwing that same route over and over again, because I'm an idiot. And that's why I'm going to be picking up the game next year because I'm an absolute freaking idiot. And instead of just saying, you know what, taking my 2020 or I think either my 2020 or 2019 stands and going, you know what, no, I'm not buying this game. Are you freaking kidding me? Jalen Tolbert, what are you? That's why we're not re-signing him. You didn't you got to fight for that, man. You got to come back. Whatever you do, you make sure you've come back further than the defender. And I missed. Ooh, we just squeaked it in. So, yeah, I'm, and then the thing is, I'm not there yet with, and I can't, like I said, I can't remember. I just know the other guy, his name had some sort of soda thing going in there, and I can't remember the other guy's name, Ryan something, and I'm not at that point of hatred for the game because, like I said, 23 and 24, I was, I got to be honest with you, I was perfectly happy with those games. I was so happy with them, right? And played religiously, right? As a matter of fact, it was those games that really, I mean, got me confident, right? And it was 24. The how good 24 was is what really made sold me and said, yes, I think college football is going to be all right. But I'm like, yeah, heck yeah, I'm getting 25. What are you, what are you crazy? I'm getting mad in 25 because 24 was so good. Mm, mm, mm. Could not have been more wrong. Good job, Leofow. Good job. Leofold breaks that up out in the flat. But it's just you you just wonder, man. You just wonder sometimes. It's like, can we get somebody in there that just knows? it, it really it's you got to fire everybody at the top. that's that's always been my that's the kind of that's what I always you ask me. It's like get rid of the people at the top. They're useless. They it's yeah they're just useless. Because they're not the ones. They're not as bad as politicians. Politicians are the worst, but they are close. They're good. They are close. They're close. Yes, I hate politicians with a passion. Just about every single one of them. I hate people that sit there and lie to your face on purpose. On purpose. It's one thing. Did you see that? Did you see that? That wasn't even catchable. But you see that? That wasn't even a catchable pass, man. But you saw that, and then it wasn't pass interference. The receiver ran up the back of the defender, and and then that became pass interference. And it's like, what? But okay, okay, yeah. See, these are things that me personally, I would, as a tester, and you know, QA, and again, like I said, there's no proof that they do any testing or QA. Why do I say that? I say because if you did, you probably wouldn't have as many issues as you did have. Did you notice how when he was getting contacted, that ball made it across the line of scrimmage, right? Didn't make it to the receiver, but it made it across the line of scrimmage and made it all probably past. Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting how that goes. So, but yeah, so again, like I said, I have no evidence that they do any testing or QA. And based on what I see in front of me, I say the answer is no, they don't. You you'd be hard pressed to show me what, you know, they do more than the minimum amount. How's that? I'll give them some credit. More than the minimum amount. And what I mean by the minimum amount is, does the game start up? Yes, it starts up. Do two teams should take the field? Yes, they do. Is it 11 on 11? Yes, it is. Oh, okay, game's good. Is it a good, is it a good experience? Well, it played. Oh, then it must be a good experience. All right, that's enough. That's all these guys need, and that's it, man. I mean, really, that's what you got. That's literally based on what we see in here. That's literally the rigor that it goes through right there. Were you able to start it up? Yes. And of course, you'll get those folks that'll say, "We love our game. We do everything we can." And it's like, well, you probably do, like to a point, but you don't fight hard enough, obviously, to make sure that that you're putting a better product on the field. Now, don't get me wrong, because they're putting a way better product than I could out there on the field. That's for sure. So I give them that. And it is the best product on that is out there. That is for sure. That is why we keep playing it over and over again. Plus, it's the only product with the licensing. And then And then again, I am willing to admit it is very, very possible that there are people out there that are way better players than I am that are not facing all the issues that I face, right? And then so with that, it's you know like this. They could the one dude that I used use this video to make the changes to my gameplay slide. I can't remember his name right now. I should have wrote it down. He says he has no issue running, and that's on Madden level. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I have all kinds of issues running. And then it's funny because I say that with 18 carries for 90 yards. But that's because of the 18 carries, 4 or 5 might be extended, and the rest are two in a cloud of dust. And maybe that is the way it's supposed to be. And then I just want them all to be long runs. But this, see, stuff like that just irks me. We have gone backwards. I tried to go out to the right. He wouldn't go. Literally, I pushed the left stick out to the right, and he would not go there. And it's like, wait a minute, could be my controller, could be my finger, right? Um, the okay, so I don't know that you guys can hear everything that's going there. Based on what I see, she just said after losing a close one the week before, this is 13th straight win or 14th straight win. What close one did we lose the week before? Because she specifically say after losing the close one the week before, we made sure to get out there and get this one in the win column. That is not even remotely accurate to anything about this season. So, yeah, again, if I was doing QA or testing, right, and I say QA as meaning testing, that is something I would call out. That is something I would document and say, hey, and then I don't know that I would write it down as a bug, but I would definitely list it as, problematic, an issue, right? It's like, yeah, the commentary doesn't always match what's going on the field or in the game. And it's like something to look at. But again, that wouldn't be a high priority thing, though, right? Doesn't matter. Half the time, a lot of us, we don't even listen to or pay attention to what they're saying. So it's kind of, you know, not a big deal. It's annoying, but it's not a big deal. And the main reason why we don't listen and we kind of tune them out or turn them down is because they're not always accurate or it's just repetitive. It's the same thing over and over again. So, yeah, it's great. It's just, but for me, it's that little piece there. It's like, to me, two linebackers run into each other and then clipping and just not being able to get off, locking onto each other and not being able to get off. That is a major issue and something that needs to be addressed. And the reason I say that is because that actually impacts the outcome of your game. And then you say, well, it's just one play. Yeah, but it could be that one play at the very end of the game where you're trying to stop them from scoring and your two linebackers are colliding with one another and they don't get off. And then so now you have a free runner right up the middle of the field, and there's nothing you can do to stop that from happening. And it allows them to hit that pass, get into field goal range, and then line up for the winning field goal. So now that you have that, you you know what I mean? So now that one play, granted, uh, one play doesn't win or lose a game, but that does lose you the game, right? And that is one of the poorest of user experiences at that point, and it's significant because now you're pissed at the game because it's like it's one thing if it's a blown coverage, but it's another thing if it's just poor AI, right? Poor pathfinding between the two little characters on the field there, right? And they don't, and then so now it's like, you pieces of crap. You, this is the product you present, give us? And literally, and of course, you're going to take it personally when you shell out this kind of money. And then you're like, no, I paid X amount of money for this, and this is the crap you present me with. And they just don't, I guess people can say, well, it's just a game. I said, well, yeah, it is a game, but it's my money. You know what I mean? It may be just a game to you, but it's my money. I just shelled it out for this game. And, you just cost me, this much aggravation because it's also my time that I just spent. And for it to go down like this, you owe me. I want my money back. I want my time and I want my money back. That's really where you get to at that point. So, yeah, it's it's a fine line. So what can you do? So there we have it. Yeah. As I try to figure out whether the commentators came through or not, and it would really piss me off to no end if, you know, turning off the desktop mic, which isn't connected, but since I am recording to my laptop, it has a mic built in, so that's what I'm seeing here. So there's no way of so the only way I can do is just shut that off, like um, mute it. And now, like I said, the only time I saw anything was when I actually speak. So the capture card didn't capture and might not have captured any of the audio from the game, and that would really tick me off, right? But that's again, like I said, that's me needing to learn more and more about what I'm doing here, and maybe invest in a better setup than what I have. But that's where we end up. So Micah did get a sack. So I can't be mad at him about not having any production because he had some. So this is what we're looking at. We're going into week 17. We're going to be playing Denver. Ooh, the Broncos. So what is the Broncos record? Oh, they managed to be 7-8. So we're 15 games in and we're 14-1. I Part of me, says maybe I should just sim the last two just to see what the CPU would do. And now that we know for a fact what we are doing with Micah and pretty much everybody. Oh, we can negotiate our last time with Ferguson. All right, so this was our last negotiation, right? I said, yeah, I'll do 5 years, 9 million a year. I'll up that. 9.5. Right? Part of me is thinking, mm, 10 might not be so bad. All right, so we'll do that. That's what we're willing to pay. Superstar Pro Bowl tight end. And he takes it. All right. So there you go. And then you see we have no room to play in the off season. We have no cap space, right? So we're not going to even accept these um, fifth year options. We're just going to try to re-sign Mozzie outright and probably end up letting Deontay Banks. Might end up even trying to trade him next year, right? So we'll see. Maybe in the off season we might be able to trade him and get something good. Um, but that's how we're gonna have to play it, right? So we are at Denver. We have the number one scoring offense, number two passing offense, number one rushing offense, right? The number five scoring defense, which is just awesome. The number one rush defense. That to me is just the craziest thing, especially if anybody saw this the Saints game today. Obviously, that's not the Cowboys, but still the 32nd ranked passing defense. So that's killer. And then you got the Broncos with the fifth overall passing defense, seventh overall scoring defense, seventh rushing attack. Right, Javante Williams, Patrick Sertan is part of that passing defense, but then they have the 16th overall rush defense, right? And they don't score a lot. I believe Bo Nix is their quarterback. Well, there's Javante Williams, but if we wanted, yep, Bo Nix is their quarterback. He is a star quarterback, 80 overall, and we'll see how that goes. Um, we don't have any more we don't have any made any I don't even know what they call them now since I haven't seen one in a while, but we're not getting those popping up right now. So nothing, no team meetings, no nothing like that, no text messages or anything like that. When we look at the stats and everything like that, we can see Lance is number two. Prescott, it looks like Prescott's number one with in touchdowns. Mahomes is number one in yards. Dixon still has a 200-yard advantage over Najee Harris and McCaffrey. Puka Nakua is still the leading receiver. Parsons, 16 sacks, has finally got him up in the top three. But we can see TJ Watt has 20. Demarcus Lawrence has 18. He's never had 18 in his entire career. I think his high so far is he might have 14 sacks one year. He might have. So then you got Diggs, number two right now. Lattimore is still getting picks. Diggs is kind of, it's he's in a little bit of a lull. He's got two more games though. Um, so when we look at, we can see here number two passing touchdowns, seventh. So we can see number one rushing yards, number one rushing touchdowns, but he was also number one with carries. Wilbin is number three in receiving touchdowns. Um, real quick. So we still don't have a legit number two running back, right? So Ferguson has hit that target that we wanted to hit with our receivers. We still need another four catches with Wilbin and another two catches with Tolbert. You can see 14 touchdowns with Wilburn, and Tolbert. It's now up to 11. Fergie and Morrison both with 4. But then Dixon, man, 7 receiving touchdowns. Holy cow. Portillo, 5 sacks allowed. BB, 4. Guyton, only 1 sack allowed on 715 dropbacks. Downs played. Um, and then Steele, I just think it's going to be interesting because we probably end up trading Steele next season. Now, IRL, the Cowboys did restructure Steele's contract, so that if we had did that, trading him wouldn't be an option. But they're higher on him than I am. But the what I say that, but then they know better than I would. So, you know what I mean? That's why they get paid the big bucks. So, TFLs, Micah, then Mozzie, then Nealon, and then Osa, right? And then sacks, Micah 16 and a half, Osa 12 and a half, Mozzie 7, and then Nealon 5 and a half. In his second year, he's doing all right. I just, you know what I mean? But in truth, he's really taking over the Demarcus Lawrence role. And it could be, on your team, you can only have 2 guys that are really getting at the quarterback. And so with these 2 getting at the quarterback almost basically a little bit as much as Micah is, he's just trailing. He's trailing behind. He could potentially have more sacks if these guys didn't have as many as they did, right? And then interceptions. K. Will has got 5, and Trayvon Diggs is leading the team with 9 and number 2 in the league. Uh, so yeah, and then one of the things that we have to work on is we got to get, Deuce is taking a step back in kick returns. It literally was 35 to 16, I think, at the half. That's just crazy. Um, so yeah, we got to figure out who's going to be our returner because none of these guys are cutting it. Punt returns definitely need a new returner. Morrison is just not it. Um, and then yearly awards. I don't think anybody's going to. I don't think anybody's going to unseat these 2 guys. I think they're pretty much nailed in. McDermott has to drop the last 2 games in order for, and Brooks has to definitely win the last 2 games in order to overtake him. I think at this point. Um, Dixon, Player of the Year. He's got 24 touchdowns. I, I mean, there's a chance that somebody will overtake him. I just don't know. I mean, Hurts could ball out. Any one of these guys can ball out with 4 or 5 touchdowns, you know, in the last 2 games, and he would have to basically get shut out, right? But he's been on 17 rushing touchdowns for a while now, so we'll see. Oh wait, wrong one. Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, it's just gonna take one of these 3 to ball out to surpass him, but I don't know that that could happen. Right? Diggs would have to have 3 or 4 interceptions in the last 2 games, or Micah needs 3 or 4 sacks, and then he would have to overtake Demarcus in order to do it. So the irony is not lost on me, right? With you know the first year out of from the Cowboys, this guy is going to be, could be defensive MVP. Not yeah, defensive player of the year. Rookie of the year. I think it's kind of pretty much unless these guys go in the tank the last two games. I think it's pretty much locked. One of the two of them is going to be. It really depends. And then as long as he just stays consistent, it's going to be him. It's going to be Dixon. Uh, Defensive rookie of the year. That's a hard one unless he just totally goes into hibernation and somebody balls out here. Uh, More than likely it could be him, which would be cool. Trey Lance, best quarterback. That's a stretch, but it's one we're willing to accept. Especially, yeah. But he has to just stay consistent the final two games, and I really do think I'm going to sim and post those. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna have to do. All right. All right. Sorry about that. There was a little bit of a pause there. Had to. My wife was calling to see if I was still alive after the Cowboy game. No, she knew I was alive after the Cowboy game. She had gone over to my brother-in-law's house real quick and was on her way back and wanted to know if I wanted anything for dinner. Let's see. So Wilbin, yeah, unless he balls out, I mean, he's not going to catch these two, and I don't think anybody's going to catch Puka. Martin, it is what it is. The fact that he and Awesome Richards are up there makes no sense to me. Nathan Thomas, don't get me wrong. I want Nathan Thomas to really kind of move up and challenge for when he retires. But just I just don't think he's done it. I mean, I just don't know why they're up there right now. It's funny. They need to work on that logic there as to what's going on here with these two. Again, boom. I mean, he's got to ball out in order to overtake him. But okay. And then, I mean, Leofau, yeah, it's too late. And then we do want to see Diggs ball. Excuse me. I don't have any water either. Ball out and overtake Marshawn Lattimore. So, and then best kicker, he's missed like 3 1 year, maybe 5. So he's not going to get it. And then you can see we are the number one offense and the number 27 defense in yards overall. First in scoring, first in points allowed, fifth in points allowed. Oh, so there it is. That's where we stand. And in really, and just right now, yeah, I really made the decision and said, you know, we may have gotten to that point, right? I don't think so, but we've kind of gotten to that point where it's, and don't get me wrong, it is not lost to me one bit, right? Where if I play the game, right, the chance we're back to, we're at that point where the chance where I've gotten the offense figured out enough that I'm going to win, right? Or that it's a very strong possibility that I'm going to win. The first game of the season that we lost to KC kind of seems more like an anomaly now instead of just right. So we'll see, um, but we'll know more when I sim these next two, right? And who knows? I might even sim the playoff game, right? And the main reason is because if we make it to the Super Bowl, we need to make it because the team was destined to be there. And sometimes me controlling the team puts a slant in our favor to get us over the top. Whereas if we're just letting them, letting the sim handle it, the sim will tell us, hey, this team was better than that one, or that this team, on that day was better. So we'll see. We'll see how we do this. But, you know, so it's not lost to me all the complaints I have about the game, but how well we are doing in the game. We won the first Super Bowl our first season, and then now in the second season we're 14-1, right? It's like, dude, come on, man. What's up? Right? And then be honest with you though, in this series, the games that I've simulated and put up, right, are actually the ones that get the most views, which is interesting. So the no commentary simulation ones get more views than the commentary ones. So that's not lost on me either. I'm getting the message. We don't want to hear you, John. We just want you to put the game up, right? And that could be it too, right? You never know. My voice can be, that kind of voice. You know, like they say, face made for the radio. Yes. So there it is. All right. So on that, we will leave it there. Remember, like, comment, subscribe. Feel free to chime in, and especially when you think I've said something that's just totally off the wall, or something that's just wrong, or something you completely disagree with. Right? We all have opinions. We all are entitled to them, and some things we feel more strongly about than others. And again, like I, it is not lost on me. Just how much I am complaining about this game, yet how successful my team is doing in this game. So that is not lost on me, right? But again, like I said, for me, it's all about the experience, right? How I feel when I'm playing. And even with the outcome coming out a certain way, but did I was it enjoyable? And then that's when I come back and I say, well, most of the time I'm really remembering the negative more than I remember the positive. And that's, for me, is the primary indicator as to whether I'm having a good time or not. It really is. It's like, doesn't matter to me the outcome. Did I have a good time getting there? And if I didn't, then it wasn't a pleasurable experience. And then it's like, so yeah, that's where we are. Okay, so again, till next time, you guys be good. Um, I'm gonna say go Cowboys, but god dang it, they sucked this week. They literally sucked this week, in my opinion. So, and I'm sure in a lot of other people's opinion, that defense was just god awful. You and then you New Orleans on their first 6 possessions scored touchdowns. If it wasn't his second game, I'd say like, dude, that defense coordinator needs to be fired, right? But I got to be honest with you, I don't know if it was the coordinator or the players. The players needed to be fired today because they didn't come to play. They did not come to play. And no matter, and then when you can't even figure out a way to fix it, and it's like, okay, the first 3 times they score, okay, yeah, we got to make some changes. We got to do something. And then they score 3 more times, and you're like, okay. And then they score in the first 5 possessions in the first half, and then they come back in the in the second half, in the third quarter, and they possess the ball for 9 minutes almost, right? So the Cowboys they go down and they score either a field goal, and then the Saints get it, and then they got the ball for like 14, 15 play drive, 9 minutes, and you're like, for almost like what's that? 2/3 of the third quarter on one drive, and they score a touchdown. And you're like, you didn't make any corrections. You didn't make any. The only corrections or changes that were made in the second half was that the Saints took their foot off of your throat, off of your neck. You know what I mean? that was that was your correction, right? The Saints just decided to take their foot off your throat. You didn't do anything to stop them. They decided to take it easy on you. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know that you go home, you watch that film, you get it ingrained in your mind, and you figure out how to never let that happen again. Especially since it's the exact same thing that Green Bay did to you. At least in the Green Bay game, you figured out something, some sort of change. You just went in with a bad game plan right off the bat with the Green Bay. That was my thing. Quinn screwed that one up. He went in with a bad game plan. Gilmore was hurt. Take him out. Trust the players you have on your team. If you don't trust them, don't have them on your team. Trust them. Let them make their mistakes, but play your game. Play your game. Don't alter everybody's game plan just to account for somebody who's at 85%, because that 85% was not good enough. Play your game. So that's the one that's really what ticked me off. The offense was flat. They sucked, but your defense, you sucked because that was your game plan that was screwed up, not the defensive. The players, and then of course, they weren't comfortable in that game plan because that's not how they've been playing all year. And of course, you're asking them to do something they're just not there with. Today, they sucked, and that was the players that sucked. I don't know your game plan, whatever. I think the execution there just sucked. They couldn't get off blocks. They weren't winning anything. They weren't running their one-on-ones. You know what I mean? Micah was getting blocked by running backs. I mean, it is Kamara, but Kamara should not be blocking Micah. Plain and simple. And but yet he was. He was getting blocked by just tight ends, and you're like, you should not be losing those battles, dude. Period. So, yeah, it. And then you see how quickly I can jump on a soapbox? It's just like like cross training. Boom, I'm right there. You put a soapbox in front of me, I jump on it like immediately. So I'm gonna go. You guys be good. We'll chat later. Bye.